Look around any waiting room or living space, and you will see the same posture. Kids and adults alike with their heads down, tracking the screen as they play free mobile games. This chart shows an unusual economic trend. While the cost for a player to download these games starts at exactly $0, the companies developing them are generating billions in profit every year. This freemium model relies on providing basic services for free as a way to gather a massive user base. In this ecosystem, the game functions as bait, and the player's attention is the resource being harvested. Developers build the underlying architecture of these games to trigger specific neurological responses, prioritizing engagement metrics over the simple pleasure of play. These apps turn mobile devices into tools for behavioral observation, where a child's interaction with the screen is constantly tracked and monetized by a multi-billion-dollar industry. Advanced algorithms monitor the player's behavior in the background, logging every tap, swipe, and moment of hesitation to build a profile of their habits. This flowchart tracks the brain's dopamine release. As your engagement fades, dopamine levels drop toward the point you'd normally quit. To prevent that, a timed micro-reward, like a shiny badge, triggers a dopamine spike, locking the player into an endless neurological loop. By aligning with the brain's natural reward system, the game establishes a consistent behavioral pattern before ever asking the player to spend money. Once that habit is established, the game introduces monetization. Players find themselves facing paywalls that require real money to access features they have been conditioned to want. One of the most common mechanics is the loot box. Players spend cash to open a virtual chest, but they have no idea what the reward is until the transaction is complete. This comparison shows how a loot box matches the logic of a casino slot machine. Both rely on a financial input followed by a randomized outcome to keep the user engaged. The hope of a high-value reward forces the player to keep spending, chasing that same dopamine high the algorithm provided for free. This leads to a situation where children spend their parents' real-world currency in exchange for randomized digital pixels. The loot box mechanic operates as unregulated gambling, relying on the same psychological triggers as a slot machine to drive repeated spending. While physical casinos are strictly off-limits to minors, these digital versions are available to millions of children with no government regulation or oversight. Authorities often fail to address systemic issues in profitable sectors until public pressure becomes too great to ignore. We cannot wait for new laws to solve this problem. Defending against these digital traps requires personal discipline and a clear understanding of how these games work. For parents, this starts with monitoring screen time and discussing the predatory nature of these apps with their children. To help build that discipline, my time management course provides practical tools for reclaiming your attention from your devices. In Chapter 4, I share specific strategies for managing digital distractions, methods that have helped thousands of students change how they interact with their phones and regain control over their daily schedules. The first step towards a solution is acknowledging the problem. Share this information so we can help families recognize these digital traps and protect the minds of the next generation.